Hey, shalom, shalom, shalom. This is the brother Qadar of GMS Gulf Coast. I'd like to start by giving infinite honor and praise to the Most High and His Son, Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Rakak Kwadash. Double honors are given up to the apostle, elders of Great Millstone, men who have labored and suffered in this truth for over 30 plus years, making their lives and their bodies a living sacrifice. I'd also like to send a shalom to the bishops, the elders, heads of camps of Great Millstone, and to the hopefully elect one-third of the nation of Israel scattered throughout the four winds of planet Earth, which consists of men, women, and children in that order, as well as a shalom to any of you Akim, not named GMS, but walking one body, one spirit, and Yahweh Shai, preaching and teaching this 100% truth with all true faith and sincerity and diligence, and in order to you all, shalom. I just want to touch on something real quick about Kashar in the Spirit. Looking at these different news clips and whatnot here in Babylon the Great, a.k.a. otherwise known as America, as we watch this place crumble like an old stale piece of toast. It's done, and as the prophecies make their way day by day, inch by inch, closer to the end of this society, this man's rulership, it's evident. That's basically the point. It's evident that it's done for. The news that is coming out, all the information that's coming out, is all dire. It's all sad and gloomy. There's nothing positive in it at all. From your money, from the monetary system, to the education, to the health care, to the rise in unemployment, quote unquote illegals, crime, rights for with those alphabet people, alternative lifestyles, you name it, man. It's just there's nothing positive that's coming out of the news machine. It's nothing. I mean, you turn on your news, when you turn on the radio, you turn on TV, and this is all you get. And I'm saying this for a purpose because 2/3 of our people, beginning with the so-called blacks, first and foremost, they're gearing up for a damn election season, man. You know what I'm talking about? But in the meanwhile, these folks is feeding you lie after lie after lie. President Biden he went on a newscast last night, making a plea to the American public by way of the Oval Office that everybody should get on board with this skirmish that's going on with the Israelis and the Palestinians over there, and that he's going to make a plea, concessions to the U.S. Congress to write them a check for $100 billion to get to these people, man. But at the same time, they crying they broke over here. You got so-called quote-unquote illegals in this country, undocumented, running up the crime rate. All this is a part of a plan to push toward the end of so-called civilized society. That's all this is. I mean, we can see through it just like a damn a clear glass. The scriptures say, "Be not ignorant of Satan's devices, least Salaki. Be not ignorant of any of Satan's devices, least he get an advantage of you." I think that's 1 Corinthians 2:11 or 2 Corinthians 2:11, one of the two. But having said that, we're not ignorant to what's going on, man. You know what I'm saying? From the undocumented, flooding these different cities, being given amenities, living in these 5-star hotels and whatnot. But at the same time, the crime rate is going up. That's not being pushed. That's not being documented. That's being kept, quiet as kept. But like I said, it's all a part of an agenda that these people are trying to push to bring a means to an end of so-called Western society, man. So everybody be on board with the new agenda that's being pushed down the pipe. And it's clear as day, man. You can see it, man. You can see. And as far as the ministry is concerned, you got all these paid informants and whatnot. Just call it what it is. Don't get me wrong, I have no evidence to that, but for those groups that have taken the 501c3, you might as well say they paid informants. But beyond that, you got, Jakes, I guess you call them Jakes, popping up dressed like Yasser Arafat, holding guns and shouting out the name of the Lord and his only begotten Son. You know what I'm talking about? Making mockery of this truth, and not only that, giving ammunition to the enemy. You got you facing all this, and yet Jake is still consumed and rather invested in this society, man. That's the point. Jake is invested in this society, especially the well-to-do Jakes, the elderly Jakes, the educated Jakes, the ones that got stocks and dump bonds and working for 401k, planning vacation Jakes. Man, you have to ask yourself, what news are they looking at? Are they not looking at the same news we looking at and see all this calamity and chaos? The house is burning down, for lack of better words. Or do they not see that? Or do they not care? It's I would say it's a combination of both. But let me get into this video. I want to bring out a few clips real quick, Baba Shah. And Lord willing, don't be long, but to the point. So, having said that, let's do this.
Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Palestinian health officials in the Gaza Strip say the death toll from 2 weeks of unrelenting Israeli attacks has topped 4,100, with over 13,000 wounded. More than 1,000 Gaza residents remain missing, many of them under the rubble of collapsed homes. In one overnight incident, the St. Porphyrius Greek Orthodox Church in Gaza City, which was sheltering hundreds of displaced Palestinians, was struck by an apparent Israeli airstrike. Gaza officials say 18 Christian Palestinians were killed. Part of the 12th century structure, one of the oldest churches in the world, was reduced to rubble. This is a survivor.
They came here to escape the airstrikes and the destruction. They thought they were safe here. The destruction followed them. Biden. Biden, you are giving all your support to Israel to kill the civilians.
Gaza's hospitals are on the brink of collapse with shortages of fuel, electricity, and critical medical supplies. Doctors at Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis have resorted to using vinegar to treat infected wounds. According to Gaza's Ministry of Housing, at least 30% of the territory's housing units have been destroyed, rendered uninhabitable, or damaged. This is Asma Sabah, whose family has been forced to move to a makeshift tent city in Khan Yunis.
We now live like our ancestors in 1948. We are displaced from our homes. Just like their reality, we live in tents. We left our homes to stay in tents, just like our ancestors. We never expected to be here. Oh world, have mercy on us. We want a truce. We are tired. What does Israel want from us? We are displaced from our homes. What more do they want?
Earlier today, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres arrived at the Egyptian side of the Rafah border crossing to Gaza, where a humanitarian aid convoy remains stuck Friday. Despite a deal to allow the passage of the first 20 trucks, Guterres urged Israeli and Egyptian officials to open the crossing as soon as possible to allow food, water, medicine, and fuel to be delivered at scale, calling it the difference between life or death for so many people. In the occupied West Bank, the Palestinian Health Ministry says 13 people were killed Thursday as Israeli forces bombed and raided the Nur Shams refugee camp. 7 of those kills were children, 2 of them just 10 years old. Meanwhile, human rights groups report heavily armed Israelis from illegal settlements, sometimes backed by Israeli soldiers, have increasingly forced Palestinian Bedouin villagers from their West Bank homes, seizing the properties. On Thursday, Israel's defense minister Yoav Gallant told soldiers massed near the Gaza border they would soon see the territory from the inside, suggesting a ground invasion is imminent.
There can be no forgiveness, only total annihilation of the Hamas organization.
Total annihilation. A lot of this the destruction that you see that's going on over there in our homeland, in the land of Israel, the imposters, the ones that are in power over there for the most part, who have the backing of America, they're causing a lot of how you say that? They're the ones that are instigating a lot of this. You know what I'm talking about? But having the backing of the Europeans for the most part, the European nations, headed by the United States, man, they can put out any kind of propaganda that they want. Now, let me state my stance on all of this. I can care less about those people over there that are occupying the land of Israel, which is our homeland, of the land of the true people of the scriptures. It's called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, Palestinians, Hamas, Israelis, Americans. We have no dog in the race. And yet still, I did a video, it was last night, dealing with two Jakes, Floyd Mayweather, who is standing strong with Israel, and Lamont, this journalist, ex-journalist who worked for MSNBC, who was pro-Palestine. Mind you, we have no dog in the race. That fight is not our fight. We have nothing to do with that. But having said that, that's still the case with some of these Clayton Bigsby, Jakes, picking and choosing sides and something that has totally nothing to do with you. But that general, or that military leader of Israel, of the Israelis, said that there can be, no mercy shown. Now, I'm going to show you how in unison these people, the so-called Ish people, these Israelis, they have all had the same talking points, and all the so-called presidents of the United States have all been in one accord on code with the Israelis, as having that same mindset where the Israelis could not do any wrong. And I'm gonna show a little clip here, because this clip right here I'm about to show you place some of the blame with the Israelis, going into that Muslim Brotherhood deal where you had Yasser Arafat, and who was a Palestinian leader, and in Israel back in the from the 70s all the way up until I think it's late 2000s or early 2000s, dealing with a faction out of Egypt, and so the Israelis stepped in and wanted to back a group just like the United States does, talking about with these ISIS and Taliban and all these other groups, talking about that are backed by the CIA. The Israelis done the same thing with in conjunction with Hamas. Now listen to this real quick.
Palestinian militant group Hamas has carried out brutal acts of terror against Israeli civilians, and Israeli and American leaders are always keen to tell us how dangerous and evil Hamas is.
The inhumanity of Hamas.
I have no sympathy for Hamas.
That keep shelling Israel with thousands of rockets and mortar shells.
But what if I told you that Israel helped create Hamas? Officially, Hamas, which is the acronym for an Arabic phrase meaning Islamic Resistance Movement, was founded in 1987, at the start of the first Palestinian Intifada, or uprising against the Israeli occupation. But its roots were planted much earlier. The Hamas founder, Sheikh Ahmed Yassin, was a half-blind, disabled Palestinian cleric and member of the Muslim Brotherhood. The Brotherhood had been repressed by the Egyptians in Gaza prior to 1967, but once the Israelis invaded and occupied the Strip, they didn't just turn a blind eye to these Islamists, they encouraged them. See, the Israelis, especially right-wing Israelis, wanted to undermine the power of the dominant Palestinian political force at that time, the nationalist PLO, at the heart of which was the secular Fatah party of Yasser Arafat, their bête noire.
بغصن الزيتون في يدي وببندقية الثائر في يدي
By empowering Sheikh Yassin and the Muslim Brotherhood, Israeli leaders thought they could divide and rule the occupied Palestinians, play them off against each other, secular nationalists against religious Islamists. So in 1978, when Yassin wanted to officially register his Islamic Association, which was basically the precursor to Hamas, the Israelis were only too keen to help. Yassin built and grew a network of Islamist social institutions across Gaza, including schools and clubs and mosques, and Israel helped fund some of those projects. Most American politicians have no clue about any of this, although the former Republican Congressman Ron Paul once made this point on the floor of the House.
Hamas was encouraged and really started by Israel because they wanted Hamas to counteract Yasser Arafat.
Arafat himself told an Italian newspaper, quote, Hamas is a creature of Israel. He even claimed that former Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin admitted as much to him, calling it a fatal error. Now, you might be wondering, why should I believe mad Ron Paul or the famously shady Yasser Arafat? Well, you don't have to. You can believe top Israeli and US officials who've basically owned up to all this. Brigadier Yitzhak Segev, for example, who was the Israeli military governor in Gaza, and later told a New York Times reporter that he helped finance the Islamic movement. The Israeli government gave me a budget, he said, and the military government gives to the mosques. Colonel David Hakam, who worked in Gaza in the late 1980s as an Arab affairs expert in the Israeli military, has admitted that the original sin was Israeli support for Yassin in the late 70s. But at the time, he has argued, nobody thought about the possible results. Well, Avner Cohen did. Cohen was the Israeli official who was responsible for religious affairs in Gaza for more than 2 decades, and who now says, quote, Hamas, to my great regret, is Israel's creation. Yeah, Cohen's words. He actually wrote an official report to his superiors in the mid-1980s, warning them not to play divide and rule in the occupied territories and calling on Israel to, quote, break up this monster before this reality jumps in our face. But no one else on the Israeli side really took the possibility of blowback seriously at that time. They never do they? Hamas has since killed far more Israeli civilians than any secular Palestinian militant group, and its leaders have been pretty viciously anti-Israeli and even anti-Semitic in their rhetoric.
لن نعترف بإسرائيل. لا مكان لكم بيننا ولا مستقبل لكم بين الأمم. إنكم إلى زوال.
Sheikh Yassin would eventually be assassinated by an Israeli airstrike in Gaza.
Sheikh Yassin and its organization, the Hamas, are responsible to the killings of more than 400 Israelis. So the question shouldn't be why now. I think it should be why not before.
Why not before? Well, because before, Israel was actually nudging and winking at Yassin and co., building them up as a rival to Arafat's Fatah. The die was cast for blowback. Blowback, incidentally, that they decided to double down on when they assassinated Yassin.
You can hear the crowds chanting for Hamas, and any idea that this operation would actually suppress or diminish that organization seems to be ill-judged.
The inconvenient truth is that Hamas is in part a creature of Israel's own making, an enemy that Israel spent more than 20 years helping to build up, and then spent the next 20 years, the past 20 years that is, trying to bomb, besiege, and blockade out of existence. The 3 Gaza wars fought by Israel against Hamas since 2008 killed around 2,000 Palestinian civilians and a dozen Israeli civilians. That's the real human cost of blowback. David Long, a former Middle East expert at the US State Department under Ronald Reagan, told journalist Robert Dreyfus, I thought the Israelis were playing with fire. I didn't realize they'd end up creating a monster. But I don't think you ought to mess around with potential fanatics. It's a lesson both the Israelis and the Americans never seem to learn, though. And as usual, innocent people, in this case Palestinians and Israelis, continue to lose their lives as a
Raiding in the northern Red Sea earlier today shot down 3 land attack cruise missiles and several drones that were launched by Houthi forces in Yemen. This action was a demonstration of the integrated air and missile defense architecture that we have built in the Middle East and that we are prepared to utilize whenever necessary to protect our partners and our interests in this important region.
There you have it. There you have it, man. I mean, they were
and none that we know of to.
Let's get back to it now. So, this place, America's in total support of what's going on over there, and to keep it blatantly clear, all this is going to be tied back to blame the ministry in some shape, form, or fashion. You understand? Because what's our ultimate goal? Salvation, up out of here. And our Lord and Savior, Yahushua, is going to pick us up and take us back to that land in which they're brutally fighting over right now. The powers that be understand this to be the case as things unravel and fall apart around them. But, they're blindly ignorant in their path to do and, to seeking out a new way of doing things, But ultimately, like I said, man, it's all going to come to naught, Like the scriptures say in Revelations, real quick, let me grab it real quick. Revelations, the 12th chapter and 12th verse, where it reads, it says, Revelation, here we go, right here. It says, therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Rejoice. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he had but a short time. And this is their particular heaven. So they are fully invested in what they're going to do. They're not going to give up the reins of power because they can see the dawn of a new day. They're just going to clamp down tighter, man. And this, like I say, this is going to be a ripple effect on blaming the ministry. That's why you're seeing these prophecies coming to pass where the Lord say, in the last days, men, let me grab one. Let me see. Let me grab it real quick. Let's see. I think it's 4:1. I think it is. This is 1 Timothy 4:1, and it reads, now the Spirit speaketh expressly that in the latter times, these times, some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils, speaking lies and hypocrisy, having their conscience seared with a hot iron. This is what we're seeing, and in doing so, and they're being plucked off and plucked away. Going into Amos real quick. Let's see. Amos, I think it's the 9th chapter. Let's see. Being that the Lord is going to pluck these, going to get them up out of here, getting them up out of here. These things are all working in tandem with one another. The prophecies is a one conveyor belt working as a wheel. There's no gap in what the things that we're seeing and the things that we're going to witness. As you seeing men, falling out this truth, you're starting to see men doing strange things and have been doing strange things, dressing up in Muslim garbs and and carrying weapons and to camp and posting videos with themselves at gun ranges and whatnot. This is not no coincidence. This has been prophesied. And the Lord is in the process of plucking and sifting all that out of here as the world falls into the deep chaos. It's all happening hand in hand. This is Amos 9 and 8, and it reads, behold, the eyes of the Lord Yahweh power are upon the sinful kingdom, and I will destroy it from off the face of the earth. And that little group of so-called white folks, those Amalekites over there in Israel, in the land of Israel, are setting up, America for the okie doke, because America is invested in Israel, those Israelis. I'm gonna show you a clip here where Biden just went on the news, what it was on the Oval Office, said a statement from the Oval Office, lobbying, because that's all he's doing. They use that office to lobby. He's lobbying the U.S. Congress, you know what I'm saying, for $100 billion. Anyway, it says, behold, the eyes of the Lord, where I'm at, yeah, upon the sinful king, this America, and I will destroy it from off the face of the earth, saving that I will not utterly destroy the house of Jacob, saith the Lord Yahweh. For I will command and I will sift the house of Israel among all nations. The hopeful elect, majority of us are over here, but you know, the elect is, you know, it's every, you know, we're spread throughout the four winds. So the Lord is doing a house cleaning. Right at the same time, he's heightening and stirring up that jealousy between these nations. It's all working hand in hand. You can see these things. You understand? For lo, I will command and sift the house of Israel among all nations like a corn is shifted in a sieve. Yet shall not the least of grain fall upon the earth. And it reads, all the sinners of my people shall die by the sword, which say, the evil shall not overtake nor prevent us. You study invested in voting and whatnot, you have to ask yourself, what are these 2/3 of these niggas looking at, man, when it comes to when it comes to these damn news programs? You know, when you're looking at the news, do you not see all this calamity and you know, they're talking about the money is going to a digital CDC, you know what I'm saying? Do you not see this? Do you not hear the prophets, beginning with the apostle elders, the elders, bishops, heads of counts, brothers such as myself, chanting and bringing out the prophecies of the MOTB, Revelation, the 13th chapter? Do you not see the connection? Of course not. Of course not. Matter of fact, I'm going to grab one real quick before I play that video again. Let's see. Let's go to Isaiah, the 29th chapter real quick. It's Isaiah, the 29th chapter. And this is why, you know, this is why. This is Isaiah 29:9. It says, stay yourselves. Stay yourselves. Let's look at that word stay real quick. Isaiah 29:9. Let's look at the word stay real quick. Stay yourselves and cry. Let's see if I can find. Let's see. Okay, here we go.
Strong's H4102. Mahach. Second entry. Mamach.
And it reads, it says, outline of biblical use: to linger, tarry, wait, delay. It says, right here, it says, properly, to question, hesitate, example by implication, to be reluctant, delay, linger, stay, selves, tarry. So let's go back. Let's go now. Let's go back. It says right here, tarry yourselves and wonder, basically. You know what I'm saying? Stay yourselves and wonder. Cry ye out and cry. They are drunken, but not with wine. They stagger, but not with strong drink. For the Lord Yahweh had poured out upon you the spirit of deep sleep, and had closed your eyes, the prophets and your rulers, the seers had he covered. Yeah. So, you know, even though we're looking at the same program, you can't see the prophecies. You can't see the destruction that the Lord has laid out by way of the scriptures. You can't hear the prophets, the seers, the men that he has set up out on the highways and hedges, like I say, beginning with our teachers, the apostles, the elders, you know, the heads of camps. You can't see them. You can't hear them because the Lord has put a deep slumbering spirit on you. We're looking at the same thing, but we're perceiving it totally different. It's day and night perception on what we're seeing. Anyway, let's let this play real quick.
President, including Ukraine, in his address tonight as he made his case for increased funding.
And this is going into, you know, them, you know, he lobbying the U.S. Congress and the people by and large to get behind this madness. You know what I'm talking about? And you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans should be sitting on the sideline eating popcorn just looking at this madness. You know what I'm talking about? waiting on your turn. Because see, the consensus is being slung around by the heads of states between Russia, China, and the United States, is that Russia and China are going to be the next new world order. They're going to be the next, power to rise up after all the rubble, but that couldn't be furthest. That's the furthest from the truth. That is the furthest thing from the truth. So now we're watching them rehash lies. Hey, listen to this, $100 billion. And I'm going to play you a clip, where they contradict themselves.
This on day 13 of the war between Israel and Hamas. Here's the latest at this hour. The president asking for $14 billion for Israel. This as the number of Americans killed there climbs to 32. The combined death toll now stands at 5,000. Meanwhile, the State Department has issued a new worldwide caution alert to Americans abroad.
And joining us live in studio with more on what the president had to say tonight, plus the latest from the Middle East, is Fox 5's Teresa Priello. Teresa.
Yeah, Natasha and Steve, in total, President Biden is proposing an aid bill upwards of $100 billion. That includes that funding for Israel, Ukraine, as well as humanitarian aid, money for border security, and $7 billion for the Indo-Pacific region. Biden is urging Congress to act fast, saying time is of the essence and the world is watching.
I'm going to send to Congress an urgent budget request to fund America's national security needs, to support our critical partners, including Israel and Ukraine. Is a smart investment that's going to pay dividends for American security for generations.
It's a big ask in a time when emotions are running high and patience is wearing thin. President Biden calling for American unity in the form of financial aid for countries torn apart by political unrest and violence. That aid package said to be north of $100 billion. It'll support Ukraine and Israel. Conflicts involving dictators and terrorists invading sovereign nations.
I know these conflicts can seem far away, and it's natural to ask, why does this matter to America? History has taught us that when terrorists don't pay a price for their terror, when dictators don't pay a price for their aggression, they cause more chaos and death and more destruction.
The request for aid comes...
He couldn't have said it best. As a child, you're being raised up in a family, your bad behavior is checked. And that's basically what he's saying. If you let that bad behavior go unchecked, then you create monsters, children that are destined to go into the penal system. You understand? Or be found out here dead on these in these streets doing Lord knows what. And so in retrospect, him talking about stopping the terrorists and this and that and the third. To my America and Israel, the state of Israel, one of the two biggest instigators of conflicts throughout the world, and they do not hold themselves responsible for none of the bullshit that they perpetrate. But then they want to name call on everybody. They never do any wrong. That don't even make sense. But real quick, let me show you this other video. Real quick. Now, mind you, they got a $1.4 billion lottery. I don't know if somebody I think someone in California bought the winning ticket. These are just flimsy goddamn card games. You know what I'm talking about? You know how they had that little ball, that little golf ball or that ping pong ball under the cup? And you got to pick which cup it is. They switch it around. You got 3 cups and 1 ball up on the 3 cups. And this is what this is all about, man. Basically running game on the American public. You got $100 billion to spread around. At the same time, you're claiming you're $30-some-odd trillion in debt, but you got all this money to slang to these different countries, aid partners and whatnot. It's simply because the United States has lost her grip. She's lost her grip on being, the hammer of the earth. Yeah, matter of fact, let's grab that real quick. She lost her grip, man. It's just, that hammer done slipped. The hammer has slipped. Let's see. Let me see if I can find that. Let's see if I can find it. Let's see, my people. How has the whole hammer of the earth? Let's see. I know it's here now. Let's see if we can find it real quick. this right here. This is Jeremiah, the 50th chapter, verse 23, and it reads, how is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How has Babylon become a desolation among the nations? How? Because all this time they were trying to hold back the nuclear provisions of Iran, Syria, Turkey, China, North Korea. You know, just read it again. Jeremiah 50 and 23. How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How is Babylon, a.k.a. America, broken, become a desolate amongst nations? Because guess what? No matter how much effort and time and money and lies and sanctions and all of these things that they were doing to to these other nations, they were still able to get their hands on the weapons that had the America sitting on top of the hill. It was all prophesied by the Lord, that they would carry out the will of the Lord. This is Revelations, the 17th chapter, in verse 17. It says, for Yahweh had put in their hearts to fulfill his will and to agree and give their kingdoms unto the beast until the words of Yahweh shall be fulfilled. We're watching a fulfillment of prophecy. It's the will of the Lord that they finally got their hands on these weapons, because it was all a trick bag played by the Lord to get these foolish ass Edomites to believe that they was really running shit. Y'all, Lord put in their spirit to give their kingdoms over to, play nice with Esau. And eventually, all you all gonna carry out my will. And that's basically what we're seeing. That's exactly what we're seeing. Now, you know how that old saying go, it ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun. Now the rabbits have the guns. They're not afraid of America. That's why she's cut to asunder, broken. Now she's scrambling, you know what I'm talking about? And then in the midst of it all, she's broke. But magically come up with $100 billion to, I mean, that's why you have to ask yourself, what are these jakes looking at? When they look at these news clips, you look at Fox News, MSNBC, CNN, Morning Joe, CBS, Good Morning America, they're telling you these things, you know what I'm talking about? Mixed in with a bunch of lies, but they're pretty much singing the same song. They're all on code for the most part. And they're telling you that this place is broke. And then in the same sentence, they'll be talking about, some will be going more in-depth, but they got $100 billion to spread out. What do you jakes be thinking of when you are confronted with these blatant lies? I'm not calling them a liar. They're calling themselves liars by doing what they're doing. It's on video. But anyway, let's go.
Rick, at the same time, we're talking about $33 trillion in national debt. I mean, what have the conversations inside the Beltway sounded like as you've continued to track them?
Yeah, we just hit that new threshold. So we went from total national debt in the $32 trillion range. It tipped over the $33 trillion threshold. I mean, this is another reason that this is kind of ridiculous, what the Republicans are doing in Congress. The main reason we have $33 trillion in debt, and it's only going to get dramatically worse, it's all the programs that nobody is willing to do anything about. It's Medicare, it's Social Security, it's Medicaid.
Anyway, same old song and dance, man. Who is going to pay a $33 trillion tab? Go and do your research on your birth certificate. Go research the original, the foundations, the inception of what they call the Federal Reserve, the IMF. Go read all that. Go read the implementation of what they call the income tax, where you, the citizen, so-called citizen, are liable to pay back the debts of your government. Go look at all of that. And then they got the same old talking points. It's Social Security. It's welfare. It's this. It's the Republican fault. It's the Democrat fault. And you dumb niggas, you fall right into the trap. You be the first ones walking up down with your I voted pens on. looking down on us for not wanting to participate in this madness, because the Lord has given us the eyesight to see that this is madness. There's no remedy in this society. The remedy is in the Lord. Repent and come back to the Lord. Anyway, I'm going to close out. Enough with that rant. It was just a rant, to my just blowing off some steam for the most part. Lord, when it was edifying, I'd like to close out by giving infinite honor and praise to the Most High, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Double honors to the Apostle Elders, Great Millstone. Shalom.